Yeah, and I forgot, like, it was a Monday and I didn't remember till late, so I've got it on my calendar now, so shouldn't
That's
be
all
a
right.
problem in the
We have
future.
it now.
Yeah.
I think it was just that store that we were playing.
No, it wasn't.
Unfortunately, Sherry was here, so we were able to work it out, but. Let's see here. Let me just have trouble getting it to like stand up straight. There we go. Move that way. That'll work. Can't see what I'm doing. I think I got it. Maybe. I just can't see what I'm doing. Well, it's falling. So.
You may have to pick it up on your
Here.
dress is a little, your top is a little too low.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
All right. Oh, there's a light. So, testing. Is that loud enough? Or does it need
Yeah, we can we turn
it up a little bit?
I got it. I just have to read. I just put the battery back in.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you, I think Camille's trying to turn her up. Just
Okay.
bit.
Yep. Oh, is this for, this is for you. Thank you, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
You're the voice of God.
Oh, yeah. It's super nice. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Trobman, has anyone signed up for public comment?
Commissioners, good morning. Wes Trubman, General Counsel. We have one individual who would like to address the commission when we get to item 12 of the policy docket. Thank you.
Thank you. Morning, Ms. Gonzalez.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
No cases to reconsider under agenda item 3.
That is correct. There are no cases under agenda item 3.
Let's consider tax liability cases under agenda item 4, but I don't think we have any tax cases on docket 10.
No, there are no tax liability cases on docket 10.
Fair housing cases under agenda item 5.
No fair housing cases on docket 10.
On agenda item 6, we have no wage claim cases on docket 10 pulled for additional discussion.
That is correct. There are no wage claim cases pulled for additional discussion on docket 10. However, there are wage claim cases remaining to be voted. You should have received the short form dissent list already.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 10.
I second the motion, except for those cases of which I'm dissenting as reflected on the UI short form, the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 10.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting, as reflected in the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 10.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's move to agenda item 7, consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 10. Please proceed when you're ready.
We are ready.
Case number 2759626. Commissioner Dimerson.
The appeal tribunal decision should be modified. First, I agree that the claimant's petition to reopen was timely and that he had good cause for his non-appearance. As to the job separation, the claimant was discharged for exceeding the amount of allowable points under the employer's attendance policy. The claimant alleges that he had a note from the employer that would excuse his final absence. However, that document is not located in the record. In addition, the claimant appeared to provide inconsistent information about the note. During his testimony, the claimant stated that he did not have the note with him, so he was discharged. However, in his petition to reopen, he stated that he did show the note to the employer, but was fired to cover an employer mistake. While the reason for the claimant's final absence was understandable, the employer stated that an absence with notice would still count towards the point total. The employer's policy was reasonable and the claimant's violation of the policy amounted to work-connected misconduct. We should therefore modify the AT decision, timely claimant appeal, timely claimant petition to reopen. The claimant had good cause for his non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response. I'm going to read that again. So we should therefore modify the AT decision, timely claimant petition to reopen. The claimant had good cause for his non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The decision is correct. The claimant received conflicting and incomplete information from agency representatives regarding the filing of his appeal. As such, the claimant's petition to reopen should be considered timely. Regarding good cause, the claimant provided uncontradicted sworn testimony that he received the notice the day after the hearing was scheduled. Therefore, he established good cause for his failure to appear at the hearing. Regarding the separation, the employer discharged the claimant due to allegedly incurring 5 absences in a rolling 3-month period. The claimant's final absence was due to his brother dying in the hospital, and the claimant made the employer aware of his need to be away from work. Per commission precedent, the claimant's absence was due to a compelling personal reason, and he had notified the employer in advance of the reason for his absence. Therefore, the claimant's final absence should not be considered misconduct. Affirm the appeal tribunal timely petition to reopen, good cause, no misconduct, chargeback.
Affirm the AT timely petition to reopen, claim established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback, memo to investigate possible unreported earnings.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Dimerson, and I have the memo, Mr. Chairman.
Case number 2793855. Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision is correct. Despite providing the post office with the forwarding address, the post office failed to deliver the notice of hearing to the claimant's address before the appeal deadline. As such, the claimant has good cause to reopen the hearing. Regarding the timeliness issue, the claimant attempted to file an appeal through the online appeal system during the deadline. The claimant was unable to submit the appeal because of the technological issue with the website, which prevented him from selecting the determination for appeal. The claimant attempted to contact the agency but was unable to get through. Since agency technical issues prevented the claimant from filing an appeal, the appeal should be deemed timely and the case resubmitted for merits. Modify the decision, good cause, timely appeal, and resubmit.
The appeal tribunal decision should be affirmed. First, I agree that the claimant had good cause for his non-appearance. As to the timeliness, the claimant filed his appeal beyond the applicable deadline to do so. While the claimant may have experienced issues filing his appeal online, that did not prevent him from appealing in other ways, such as fax or mail. In all, the claimant's explanation for his untimely appeal amounts to a good cause reason, which is not an exception to the timeliness rules. We should therefore affirm the AT decision. The claimant had good cause for his non-appearance, untimely claimant appeal, leave the underlying decision in full force and effect, voluntary leaving, overpayment of $1,441.
Modify the AT, claimant establish good cause for AT1, timely claimant appeal, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 2797615, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision is not supportable. Although the claimant may have been aware that there was a spam block app on his phone, this does not signify that he knew or should have known any incoming calls received from an agency would be treated as spam and would not come through. The claimant made a good faith effort to register for the hearing in a timely manner and was ready and willing to participate at the scheduled start time. Accordingly, the claimant established good cause to reopen the hearing. Reverse the appeal tribunal, good cause, and resubmit.
We should modify the AT decision. Regarding good cause, in his appeal to the AT1 decision, the claimant alleged that he was unaware of the spam blocker, which prevented him from participating in the AT hearing. In contrast, at the AT2 hearing, the claimant provided conflicting testimony by admitting that he was aware of the spam blocker. Since the claimant provided credible testimony that he was aware of the call blocker before the initial hearing, but thereafter failed to turn off the blocker, the claimant did not have good cause for missing the AT1 hearing. Concerning the job separation, the claimant had numerous warnings for his attendance. The claimant was terminated when he was a no-call, no-show on multiple days leading to his termination. Since the claimant was aware of the employer's attendance policy, the claimant's conduct constituted misconduct connected with the work. Hence, we should modify the AT decision. Claimant did not have good cause for missing the AT1 hearing. Misconduct, no chargeback, sever the adequate employer response issue.
Reverse the AT, claimant establish good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 2903703, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision should be modified. No misconduct chargeback. The employer is a home health care agency and not a temporary help firm. Therefore, their reporting policy cannot be used to disqualify the claimant. Additionally, the employer admits that they never informed the claimant that her assignment was over. The great weight of the evidence indicates that after the claimant learned from the client that the assignment was ending because the client no longer needed services, the claimant contacted the employer within a reasonable amount of time. The employer informed the claimant that no further work was available. The claimant did not file for unemployment benefits until 6 weeks later. Therefore, the claimant was separated due to a lack of work, which is not misconduct. Modify the appeal tribunal, no misconduct chargeback.
We should reverse the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant acknowledged the employer's policy, which required her to contact the employer within 72 hours of an assignment end date. The claimant was discharged when she failed to contact the employer to report availability. Although the claimant alleged cell phone issues as a reason for missing the deadline, this argument is unpersuasive. The claimant could have reported in person or utilized other methods for reporting availability since the employer's place of business was open for 24 hours. Since the record prescribes that the claimant failed to contact the employer within the requisite time, in violation of the employer's policy. The claimant's conduct was mismanagement of her employment and constituted misconduct connected with the work. Hence, we should reverse the appeal tribunal decision, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Modify the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Dimerson.
Case number 2955294, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should modify the AT decision. The employer provided sworn testimony that its client company required the claimant to be deputized as a condition of employment. Determining validity of car titles is an official government function. In order to be qualified to certify the validity of car titles, an employee must be eligible for deputization under state law. The claimant failed to meet the conditions for deputization, and the employer could not have legally allowed her to certify car titles after that point. Thus, the work separation resulted from the operation of state law. The reference to no proof of misconduct on the part of the claimant misses the point of section 204.022A2. Misconduct is not an issue here. Hence, we should modify the AT decision, no misconduct, no chargeback, operation of law.
Ms. Miller, I would agree with Commissioner Dimerson. Or Ms. Gonzalez.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Demerson. Did he say to avoid adequate response? And I think we should here.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So Commissioner Demerson voted no misconduct, no chargeback, operation of law. Did he also say void adequate response?
No,
That's
did
my
you say that,
vote.
Commissioner Emerson?
Yes, okay.
Yes.
And Ms. Gonzalez, I would agree with that as well. Avoid adequate response. Adding
All
that
right.
to it.
So we have a unanimous vote. Thank you.
Case number 3000760, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision should be reversed. The claimant is the only party to present credible firsthand testimony, as the employer's testimony was evasive and the hearing contained evidence of coaching. The claimant has provided that she was separated from her assignment at the advice of the employer. The employer informed her they would contact her with additional work, but failed to do so. As such, the claimant was effectively laid off due to a lack of work. Reverse the decision, no misconduct, chargeback.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The job separation did not occur when the claimant's assignment ended. Rather, the evidence established that, consistent with the home health care precedent, the separation occurred when the claimant rejected offers of work with new clients and filed an unemployment claim. In the absence of evidence that the claimant had good cause connected with work for rejecting the new assignments, disqualification is appropriate. We should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, add a no chargeback ruling.
Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form of dissent, Commissioner Dimerson.
Case number 3000907, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should modify the AT decision. The claimant was discharged for violating the employer's rule on time off task. The claimant had acknowledged the employer's policy, which dictated that employees could be terminated if they were off task for more than 2 hours. After she was warned about time off task, the claimant continued to accrue time off in violation of the employer's policy. The claimant was terminated when the employer's adjusted total time off task was 2 hours and 50 minutes. Since the claimant was aware of the employer's policy, her repeated violations constituted misconduct connected with the work. Therefore, we should modify the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, sever the adequate employer response.
The appeal tribunal decision is not supportable. The employer discharged the claimant for allegedly violating their time off task policy by exceeding the permissible time of task, policy by exceeding the permissible time off task during a single work shift. The claimant was a trainer for the employer. and she provided credible firsthand testimony that she was conducting training on the day of the final incident, and that her time in training was not considered by the employer when calculating her time. The employer's witness, a human resource representative, did not provide firsthand testimony of the claimant's conduct. The employer did not provide any evidence documenting the claimant's alleged time off task. Therefore, the employer did not meet its burden of proving that the claimant committed misconduct. Reverse the appeal tribunal, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
For short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Dimerson.
Case number 3018629, Commissioner Dimerson.
The appeal decision should be modified. The employer testified that the final incident occurred when the claimant violated the employer's policy regarding children of a certain age being allowed in the nursery. The claimant acknowledged that she received an email regarding the policy, but also provided an explanation as to why she did not follow it. The appeal tribunal concluded that the claimant violated the employer's policy and was discharged for work-connected misconduct. Since the appeal tribunal was in the best position to gauge the credibility of the parties in this case, its ruling should not be disturbed. We should therefore modify the AT decision, misconduct, reimburse an employer, not bill, sever the adequate response issue. In the alternative, I would also support a vote for a rehearing in this case to gather testimony from the claimant's supervisor regarding the final incident in this case.
Ms. Gonzalez, I would agree to rehear.
Rehear for testimony on all final incidents leading up to the discharge.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3040379, Commissioner Alvarez.
The AT decision should be reversed. The claimant was discharged for performance issues. However, the claimant previously had cancer and has since been on chemotherapy treatment, which causes mental impairment. The employer was aware of the claimant's condition, but made no effort to make accommodations or adjust to her performance expectations. The claimant was discharged due to a medically verified illness and not for misconduct. Reverse the appeal tribunal, no misconduct, MBI, tax governmental entity, governmental employer, I should say.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant had been able to meet the employer's expectations for several years while continuing her medical treatment. The claimant now argues that issues with her medication caused deficiency in her work performance. However, in fact-finding statements that she provided to TWC, she explained she failed to complete the final incident task because something came up. Furthermore, the claimant admitted that she never requested an accommodation for the employer in order to perform her job duties. Thus, because the claimant did not complete the task in question and failed to notify the employer it had not been done, she mismanaged her position of employment. Accordingly, we should affirm the AT decision, misconduct, taxed governmental employer.
Affirm the AT, misconduct, taxed governmental employer.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 3063142, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision is not correct. The claimant provided the employer with over 3 months of notice of his intention to resign on July 31st of 2021. The employer accepted the claimant's notice immediately. In accordance with the commission precedent, the employer early acceptance of the claimant's notice shifted the burden to the employer to establish the claimant engaged in misconduct. The employer's only reason for discharge was that the claimant would not be available after the date in which he intended to quit. This cannot be misconduct. Further, analysis of 207.045I would not provide for disqualification. The employer failed to comply with the requirements of the act by not providing written notice of reassignment at the time the assignment ended. The employer's testimony and documents show that the notice was provided 3 days later at the earliest. Additionally, the employer has represented that they only sent the notice by mistake. Reverse the appeal tribunal, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. I agree that the claimant initiated the job separation, but under a different rationale. This case should be decided under section 207.0451I of the act. In its response to the claim notice, the employer, a PEO, stated that after the end of the claimant's assignment, the employer sent the claimant a reassignment form. This was corroborated by the HR generalist. The claimant, however, failed to report for reassignment as required. The analysis then shifts to the reason for the claimant's failure to report in a timely manner. The claimant stated that he received the reassignment form several days after the employer submitted it to him because he was not regularly checking his email. Because the claimant did not establish good cause for his failure to report back for reassignment, he is deemed to have quit without good cause connected with the work. We should modify the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever the adequate response issue.
Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Dimerson.
Case number 3063652, Commissioner Emerson.
The appeal tribunal decision should be modified. The claimant was placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. File documents in this case contain an administrative leave and confidentiality order, which contained an instruction not to speak to members of the public about the investigation or any other employer-related matter. Nonetheless, the claimant disclosed to a charitable donor that she had been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. The claimant's disclosure violated the administrative leave and confidentiality order since it revealed that there was an investigation and the investigation was an employer-related matter. As such, the claimant's actions constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore modify the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, sever the adequate response issue.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was placed on paid administrative leave pending investigation. She signed an order instructing her not to talk about the investigation to anyone. A charitable donor reached out to her and she explained that she had been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. This statement alone is not a violation of the order. The mere mentioning that she was placed on administrative leave is not sufficient to establish misconduct connected with the work. The employer has not provided any additional evidence that the claimant discussed the substance of the investigation with anyone. Reverse the appeal tribunal, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Modify the AT, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate response.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Alvarez.
Thank you.
Case number 3064367, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision should be reversed. The claimant started coughing during a will execution, and the client asked the claimant if she was okay. The claimant responded that she was recently recovered from COVID. The claimant's response was honest. While the employer had warned the claimant about speaking during a will execution, it would have been awkward and strange if the claimant had ignored the client's direction question. As such, the claimant's actions did not rise to the level of misconduct. Reverse the appeal tribunal, no misconduct, chargeback, set aside adequate response.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant acknowledged that the employer had previously reprimanded her for making comments during will executions. Because the claimant again made a comment while acting as a witness, she mismanaged her position of employment. We should modify the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, sever the adequate response issue, plus memo to investigate whether the claimant has met the requirements for requalification.
Modify the AT, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate response, memo in accordance with staff recommendation.
Ms. Gonzalez, short form dissent and memo to investigate whether the claimant has requalified for benefits.
Okay, I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Alvarez, and I have the memo, and that is the last pulled case on docket 12. However, you should have already received the short form dissent list for, I'm sorry, docket 10. You should have already received the short form dissent list for docket 10.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 10.
Chairman, I second the motion except for those cases in which I'm dissenting as reflected on the UI short form dissent list for docket 10.
All right, concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting as reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 10.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's take a short break. It's getting quiet. All right, we're back with agenda item 8. This is chapter 840 proposed amendments for public comment. This is on WIOA eligible training providers.
Good morning, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Dimerson, Mr. Cerna. For the record, I'm Joel Mullins with the Workforce Development Division. On December 7th of 2021, the commission approved a policy concept on potential amendments to TWC Rule Chapter 840, WIOA eligible training providers. The policy concept was posted online for a 3-week board comment period and no comments were received. This morning, for your consideration, is the proposed rules for Chapter 840, which will clarify requirements for participants, local workforce development boards, and eligible training providers. These amendments include 2 amendments to Subchapter F, Section 840.53, One, the acknowledgement of TWC's authority under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And number two, immediate removal from the ETPL of previously approved programs that lose licensure. And as well, two amendments to subchapter G, section 840.61 to clarify that one, ETPs may not impose additional costs on students funded through individual training accounts without prior consent of the board. And number two, that boards must ensure that ETPs and participants are informed that training funds are not available unless and until the board has approved and issued an ITA. This morning, staff seeks direction on the proposed amendments to 40 TAC Chapter 840 for publication in the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
None.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the proposed rule amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 840, WHEO eligible training providers for publication in the Texas Register and public comment as recommended by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 9 has been postponed to a future meeting. Staff does not have anything to report under agenda item 10. Staff does not have anything to report under agenda item 11. This is agenda item 12, Child Care Development Block Grant COVID-19 federal funding.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm losing my voice this morning. Pardon me. Allergies. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, Allison Wilson with the Child Care and Early Learning Division. Today, for your consideration, we are bringing forward the 6th tranche of child care stimulus funded initiatives. We have 3 issues for you today. The first is dedicating $10.7 million for improvements to child care regulations to child care regulation for system improvements. CCR proposes improvements to the public search Texas Child Care website, as well as to their provider portal and their underlying data system class. The improvements will include supporting mobile-friendly access, adding data fields for providers' Texas Rising Star status, and pre-K partnership participation. Updating and improving the data exchange between TWC and CCR, and providing document upload capabilities for providers to support compliance requirements. The second issue would dedicate $15 million to continue childcare business coaching through May of 2023. On May 4th, 2021, the commission approved funding to support childcare business coaches through summer 2022. These coaches assist with all regulated childcare providers on how to document and track funding received through the childcare relief funds, and to provide assistance with budgeting, marketing, improving payment collection, reducing costs, and staffing strategies. The continuation of these services will allow coaches to provide services through the duration of the funding period for the 2022 child care relief funds. The third issue we have outlined is to dedicate an additional $500,000 to extend the impact of the provider cost of quality calculator, which was previously approved. On November 2nd, the commission approved $300,000 for the development of a PCQC to help conduct a federally required narrow cost analysis that examines the cost of childcare at varying levels of quality across the state. A PCQC can also be beneficial to childcare providers and other stakeholders to inform the design of local quality improvement efforts and to help providers better understand the factors that influence their costs. Staff recommends this additional funding for the development and maintenance of a public-facing, online, and easy-to-use PCQC. This recommended additional $500,000 will bring the total approved for the PCQC initiative to $800,000. Finally, I'd like to note that the attachment at the end of the discussion paper provides an overview of all the child care stimulus funding previously approved, as well as the funding we are recommending for approval in this 6th tranche. And that concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
Allison, just a quick question here on how is the child care business coaching going? How's that been? performing?
It is going very well. It's been heavily utilized, and they've actually saved providers in total millions of dollars by helping them take advantage of various tax credits. And we anticipate that it's going to continue to provide really critical support as we roll out the additional relief funds.
Good, thank you.
All right, we have at least one public commenter, I think. Let's do that, and then we'll ask any follow-up questions and take a vote.
Commissioners, we do have one commenter. It's Brooks Jones. Mr. Jones, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself, introduce yourself for the record and go ahead.
Hi, my name is Brooks Jones. I'm with Christian Preschool Centers in South Plains and Panhandle. Decision point one, we're very excited about that integration. I actually think that'll be very beneficial for all providers and families. Decision point two, the only thing I ask on this is it's actually hard for somebody at my level to get this information because it's just sent to the school. So if there's a way for us to sign up through a subscription of an email or whatnot, where it can get directly into our inbox and not have to rely on somebody forwarding an email, that'd be beneficial. Decision point three, we have no comments. The only other question I had or comment I want to make was on the attachment two, the SIR childcare relief. I'm just curious, like if that money doesn't get spent, does it go back into the hopper? And that's all I've got. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the plan and methodology for the distribution of the sixth tranche of CCDF COVID-19 federal funding initiatives as recommended by staff and described in the discussion paper.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. We're unanimous. Nothing under agenda item 13. Is there a legislative report today?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Mr. Cerna, for the record, Michael Britt, Governmental Relations. As you're all aware, current federal government funding expires this Friday, March 11th, 2022. Congress is currently working on a measure to fund the federal government for the remainder of the fiscal year. It's being reported that the bill would include an omnibus appropriation to fund the federal government for the remainder of FY 2022 and include appropriations for aid to Ukraine and additional COVID-19 research-related funding. As of this morning, language for the proposed measure has not been released, but U.S. House leaders have said that the language is expected to be released today, and the House could vote as soon as tomorrow on the measure. We'll certainly keep your offices updated as things progress. This concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
None.
Thank you.
Do we have an executive director's report today?
Yes, sir. I've got one thing, and it has to do with all the people that are here. We are recognizing our training and development, what was described to me as our remote training team. Ironic that the remote training team is here, but that's okay. For their outstanding work. It's shifting very quickly from training our employees in person to online training. Back in 2020 and through 2021, they did an outstanding job. And I think Jerry White will come up and talk a little bit about the nomination itself.
Chairman, Commissioners, good morning.
Morning.
I'm, for the record, I'm Jerry White, the HR Director here at the Workforce Commission. One of the best signs of a well-functioning and managed team is the ability to adapt to sudden change. And we've seen a lot of that through our organization over the last 2 years. Next week, I guess, is the second year. The 17th, I think, is when many of us began telecommuting or moved out because of COVID. And so this comes at that point. In March of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic forced many TWC's employees to convert to teleworking. And for the departments whose jobs require heavy face-to-face contact with other employees, the new reality turned their work product upside down. Their processes had to change immediately. Training and development faced such a daunting task. Their goal was to figure out how to rapidly and effectively move their in-person courses to online-only presentations. Led by Rhonda Skillern, the T&D team went to work. Between March 20th and August 31st of last year, they converted 73 of their 92 in-person courses into online training. The first part of that process involved them learning Teams and Zoom at expert levels to be, and then they had to put their class attendees at ease using those tools as well. So they made desk aids to help people use those better. And they, in the 16 months, in that 16-month period, their participant count for those classes that they put on totaled 9,684 people. 868 of those were the other state employees who came in to help TWC with the unemployment insurance spike. And they were central to helping train them up. One of the less obvious challenges may have been helping employees and their team deal with Zoom fatigue. No, none of us know what that's like, but the idea of constantly being online and juggling life that went on at the same time. Rhonda Skillern described it as saying it was like running with the ground crumbling beneath them since they canceled and rescheduled classes, learned 2 virtual platforms that were themselves morphing and converted their courses to fit limitations of those platforms. Had to figure out a whole new way of doing business. Rhonda and her team did an exhaustive and masterful job at showing the entire agency how to react to such disruption and not only continue, but to improve and excel. With that, I'm delighted to nominate these T&D members for a Star Award. When I call your name, please stand up. Don't stand up and sit down or it'll be like training and development bop-a-mole. So just stand up and I'll go through the list. Danielle Castronova, Luke Stallings, Pamela Brockhausen, Elisa Spry, Dana Flynn, Alicia McDonald, Jackie Everhart Thompson, Tina Dixon, Gordon Robinson, Diana Sines, Linnell Weldon, Tracy Baranthus, Diana Garza Lewis, Daniela Bocanegra, Jill Van Howe, Deb Aker, Monique Robertson, Matt Williams, Tracy Shaw, Rhonda Skillern. There you have it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that all the TWC staff did an outstanding job at shifting to remote work, but without the hard work of these individuals, then a lot of the skills that they had would begin to stale, especially our new employees wouldn't get the training that they needed, because training is very important to us. So I do want to recognize them for all their hard work. So thank you all very much. And I have nothing else to report.
All right, is there anything else, any other order of business come before the commission?
Chairman, I'd just like to add that what an impressive group of folks that we just acknowledged. So thank you for your dedication and ingenuity during one of the toughest times that this agency's ever experienced. So thank you for that.
I echo Commissioner Alvarez's sentiments there. Commend the team for staying ahead, adjusting quickly, and taking action. That's what you guys did, and we appreciate that big time.
Absolutely. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Chairman, before we adjourn, I want one quick issue. And if possible, I'm working on an initiative that's called Texas Interns Unite. I'd like to work with the team, maybe to work on discussion papers if necessary, regarding 3 events that may be upcoming. So the Texas Interns Unite initiative, we're looking at having a virtual roundtable, a summit, then doing something around National Internship Day with the Texas Twist, and then another event in September. And so I want to work with the team on those initiatives.
Yes, sir. We'll
Thank
be
you.
glad to.
Okay. That I'll second that motion.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. We're adjourned.